Hello, Bob, Marcia, and others. It's Leo Bisnet from Canada. Bob, I'm so pleased that Access World is bringing this to us. Unfortunately, this year I can't be at CSUN. I just retired and don't have the funding, and really welcome this opportunity to be in on these two presentations. Last year, I was part of the focus group when they were presenting or looking for information on GPS needs, and I'll be keen to come back tomorrow afternoon to see what's come out of it. So compliments to you and compliments to Sendero.
Thank you, Leo.
Yeah, we're going to start shortly here. Bob, is there anything you wanted to say before we get going?
Well, the date is let me get the right date, 28th of February, and we're so pleased to be here with Sendero via the internet. This is accessibleworld.org. We're in the Pat Price Tech Talk training room. We'll be here tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time for the Seeing Eye app discussion. And we welcome all of you to our Tech Talk programs every Monday evening at 8 o'clock right here. And my commercial is over. Welcome, everybody.
Okay, well, this is Mike May from Sendero Group with Charles LaPierre, and I think Sherry is in here from Sendero. Our booth downstairs has Jamie and Gina and probably the Sweetman folks, Bob and Sue Sweetman, down working the booth. So I wanted to thank everybody for coming up here. And unlike a lot of sessions that we do, this is not about a product that's being released. This is about one that we want to see released. So I'm really, I wanted to have something like this more to establish a fan club and a cheerleading group as much as anything else, because this People Finder application is something I've been looking for years, and we finally have the first prototype of it to start playing with and to start creating the dialogue. First, I want to talk about why we need this, and then we'll talk a bit more about the specific prototype application that we've cobbled together in the last couple weeks for this conference. It's always good to have these conferences because they create milestones that you really don't want to miss, because the next big opportunity is the July consumer shows. The reason for this is pretty obvious to any blind person, but it's amazing to me that it wasn't that obvious to a lot of other folks.
To be on the same one that they're on. So that they're running this app and have it on, I could potentially see a situation where all of a sudden you hear the ding, their phone shows up, and you know, oh, they're on this bus, so let me get on.
Yeah.
Mike, you're live.
Okay, sorry to the group online. We should have checked to make sure we were coming through, but we've covered lots of ground here, and sorry you guys missed out, but hopefully we're back on, and Charles is monitoring the computer now, so we should stay online. So we're going around and just asking for people's comments right now, and anybody else? Mika?
I would just say SpotMe sounds like a cool app for conferences, but just if you can make sure that it's available, you know, beyond conferences and just at home or wherever people might be in the community as well.
Yeah, so we were talking about SpotMe, the conference app, and it is really dedicated just to these kinds of applications, but we obviously want to have a Find Me app for wherever you want to use it that's independent from a comprehensive conference application. Absolutely. Anybody else?
Emma, just earlier I was trying to work with Julian and trying to buzz Julian, and I could see that he was selected, but I couldn't see the options for quite a long time, so I restarted the phone. Now I've buzzed Charles now, so I know it works, but so there was a few times there that I couldn't see the options relating to the persons.
And do you think this will work well in the pubs in Ireland?
I think it'll work well in the tube stations in London as well.
Ah, the tubes in London.
Well, outside, you know, there's so many exits and things, and it's really, really difficult to get the right one. So I think it'll be very useful. But everyone's got to have it. That's the thing.
That is the thing. It's the momentum. How do you make it happen? That's why conferences are so good, because you can be part of the sign up. You can say, here's the deal. And sometimes it could be in a badge, it could be in your own personal device, which is the preferred way to have it happen, but you can create the momentum at a conference that you might not otherwise be able to take advantage of. Anybody else? The Spot Me people, by the way, have one of the I think the useful things will be with them is that they're used to having 1,000 or 5,000 devices at a conference all going, so they've dealt commercially and technically with this idea of signals colliding and how to deal with mass volumes. And he said, as soon as we get to the point where we really want to commercialize this, which would be in our phase 2 funding, then we can actually test on 1,000 units and see what happens. Because it could be a whole new world. I mean, it might be fine for 3 or 5 people, but crazy if you get over 100. That's an awful lot of signals. But at the same time, you consider the fact that we all have cell phones working in this hotel, and we don't cross up our lines there. So it's technically doable, but just something that we have to realize separates a prototype from an actual commercial product.
Well, this is Jim.
Jim.
I like the specificity of it because, yes, we all have cell phones and we could all try and call each other if we think we're around there, but we all have similar rings too. So I think that this gives a little more specifics as to who's around. And I was in a conference this morning, in a meeting this morning, and one guy was trying to find somebody and was kind of shouting out his name a little bit, over the speaker. Jim.
Yeah, I heard that guy.
Yeah. That guy too.
And he finally said, well, let me get up, or I don't know, maybe it was one in my room, you were in a different room, but this guy said, well, hey, I'll go out in the hall and try to find you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this works well. I'm very happy with that.
One other thing to be aware of is that right now, if your screen locks, I don't think you're going to get any feedback. So if you go into settings, there's an auto lock that you can. It's probably set to 5 minutes or something. You change it to never, at least for now. You'll lose a little battery life, but if you're going to be running the app and playing the game over the next couple of days, particularly when you're in a public location in the exhibit hall or in the bar, then I would turn the auto lock to never, and it'll keep running.
Mike, I have a couple of questions, Julie Vargas.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I was curious about is, since it knew that we were at the bar yesterday, how did it get that reference point?
It doesn't have any awareness of location. It would if you set a reference point.
Right.
So now it's associating that particular lat lawn or that position with where you are, and then you move relative to it.
So does that mean that somebody created that reference point using this app?
No. I mean, it didn't know you were in the bar. You could have been in a church.
Well, because it said so many feet or near the bar. It said that yesterday.
You'd have to reset the reference point and type in bar into your...
I don't think, unless... Do you think...
Yeah, it did yesterday. It was telling us that yesterday. So I was
Really?
just curious how...
So if I set bar, or somebody else set the bar there...
Maybe, yeah, somebody must have, so...
Kind
of interesting.
that would be a feature they put in there that we didn't know about.
Yeah, well, that would be cool, because then something like this, somebody maps all these things and it's stored, and everybody who uses the app can access it.
So I'd be curious, because I think I set this room as Suite 817. We'll have to try it and see if... I assume it'll just show up on my phone, but maybe it'll show up on yours too.
And then the other question I had is, you mentioned that you can buzz or call, and then you said if you don't show your number, you can call the person but not have your number revealed.
Yeah.
Is that call being done through the telephone network, or is that being a direct Bluetooth connection?
I believe it's being done directly. The Bluetooth is...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the call isn't going through Bluetooth, but it's capturing the phone identity through Bluetooth.
Right.
But then how is it placing, when you say call, I assume it's a phone call?
It's just a regular phone call.
Yeah.
So it's actually initiating the call through your cell service?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does it tell it not to send your number?
No, it will.
Okay.
We just pass it on to the regular iPhone. Call this, and it just happens whatever.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So we have no way to make anonymous calls to somebody else.
It'll respect whatever you have in your caller ID settings. So if you say that your number is blocked, then it's going to show up blocked. If it's visible, it'll show up as visible.
Might I have a feature suggestion?
Uh-huh.
What if, could you have kind of 3 or 4 stock buzzes, texts, I'm near you, or I'm looking for you,
Uh-huh.
something, so you don't have to type anything.
Oh, yeah, pre-stock
Yeah.
things. These are good.
Some typing sometimes is very time.
Yeah, you don't have to type in a message now when you buzz somebody, but I think you're right. If we can have some unique signals associated, because you don't know what, I think, yeah, I mean, we have the ding right now. That's kind of the
something for near and something for warm, different signals.
right, that's a good idea.
Near your warm.
Or even better, user customizable, like you maybe give 5 slots that a user can pre-program.
Good.
Or a custom message.
Doug Wakefield here. I've discovered something very interesting that I want to suggest just sitting here, and that is that I think some sort of protocol has to be developed, or ought to be developed, let's put it that way, among the users. You talk about us being a fan club.
Blog.
Oh, yeah. How many gyms are in this room? I'm getting one. Only one gym?
For the naming protocol.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
I can't tell for sure which. I generally use a braille display on my phone. My ears are yeah. But do we have we have Charles with the Sendero Group. He keeps showing up. I don't know why.
I turned off my phone, and when I turned back on the application, it'll automatically pop up.
I
as,
see.
fresh.
So I've had Jim. I've had, I think it was Jeannie. Judy keeps showing up. And
Just like a bad penny.
but it's always so-and-so's iPhone. And if
Yeah.
I walk into Redfields and I'm looking for something, or I'm just wondering who's there, it doesn't help to say Jimmy, John, Frank, Pete's iPhone.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Put in our actual names.
Right, and that's what I think we want to think about, is how do we want to be found? We're not trying to hide, we're trying to be exposed.
Yeah. I wonder if you could, if there's some things you could do automatically, because you could certainly try to educate people and say, look, if your name is Mike or Jim or Doug, you might want to say something else.
Judy Dixon from Arlington, Virginia.
Right, you can do that. That's user education. But the other thing is, what can we do automatically? Maybe there's something you can capture from, or maybe even their area code would help. I'm Mike 530. Something else that would where the system could automatically identify us.
City maybe? Well, no.
Well, even first and last name would probably come up.
Yeah, some people may not want to display their last name.
I think it's going to be hard to get everybody to agree on one standard. It's
Right,
It's kind
but
of personal.
I think Doug's suggestion is one we'll just put on the wish list, which is let's find some mechanism, even if it's just prompting people to say, by the way, do a first and last name or do something that's unique. I mean, we don't have the benefit of a domain registration where we can say, sorry, that's already taken. You've got to be Mike May 105. Yeah.
Mike Dash back here. I just have one question, and I'm not sure if it's unique to my phone because it is kind of quirky. But I've noticed in either dragging my finger down
A little louder, Glenn.
Sure. In dragging my finger down the screen and clicking through the options to see who's around, it loses its place about halfway through the list. I'm running a 4S, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a programming issue. We have some of that in the CNI GPS settings, where you're flicking, and I find that it tends to, if you go too fast. So if you flick, you let it finish saying its thing, and then you flick again.
Yeah, I tend to fly through.
You don't lose your spot, but if you're flying through it, it seems to jump the information or the positions change. I want to see if we have anybody, Charles, if you can open up the chat room, see if anybody on the chat room has a question on this topic.
All right, let me see.
Or a suggestion.
Okay, any questions from this end, please?
Yes, this is Marcia, and I would like to know, pretty much, how we came up with the idea of the People Finder, and could this be used with plain note takers, or is this particularly for the iDevices?
Yes, we're only on the iDevices right now, and no Android, but there's no reason the same thing couldn't happen on an Android device.
Mike, this is Jerry Hogan. Do you think that you're able to maybe put in to control like a room, like on the app, the People Finder. You say, well, I'm going to create a room 101.1. So you type that in on your phone, and then when people come in there, they see 101.1, and then they know all the people. Like have a private key for that room. And how much will the app go for? You think maybe?
Oh, no idea. When we're in prototype stage, we don't even tell people prices when the product is not out in a week. So this could be out in 6 months or never. But the truth is, on these iOS and these mobile devices, you don't see apps over $100, and frankly, I would easily pay that much. It could be free. Who knows? I mean, the other thing is that it can be sponsored. As part of a conference situation, it would be nice that it just comes with your registration, and that would be a way for people to get turned on to it, and then they go off on their own. They say, hey, I want to have that in my own private bag of apps.
That's a good idea.
Okay, any more questions at this time? I think we're getting caught up as to what happened here.
Okay, well, we'll take it. We'll see if there's any more questions here. We want to leave some time for people to. Charles is wrestling with a few phones here on the floor already, so we can just kind of we'll just chat among ourselves in the room, and if anybody needs some help, or if I'm going to run my app and see who's around, and we'll just play with it for a bit. Go ahead, Doug. Yeah.
The only one I've had today. An application that Judy and I have found extremely useful, and that would be, I could see it being rolled into something like this very nicely. Are you familiar with HeyTal?
Yes. Yeah, HeyTal it's one of the many applications that, again, you have to sign up for it, and you got to be on the HeyTal app. I mean, it does run in the background, but for those who don't know, it's a voice messaging system. So it's like text messages, except it's actually sending your voice to somebody, and it's really nice quality. And the thing I like about it is you get an actuality from the person. I could text somebody that I'm on Space Mountain in Disneyland, but if you send them a HeyTal message, they get the actuality of it, which is much more exciting than just a text message. And absolutely, if you HeyTal'd somebody and said, hey, by the way, wake up your People Finder, or I'm looking for you in the bar, it's just one other way to help alert somebody that you're nearby.
Now, I just got a text message. I'm got to be clear as to who it was from. I think it was Charles.
Yeah.
Right. Hi, Doug.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't say my name?
Yeah, no.
It does.
It does.
It does. Charles Sendero.
Charles Sendero.
Charles Sendero.
When he sent me
Well,
a message.
Mr. Charles.
Hey, all right. I'm a Mr. now.
Charles.
Which reminds me, it'd be fun on HeyTal. You can, if you pay $1 or $2 or something, you can get the group feature, and then you could set up your own groups. That would be fun with the People Finder as well, if you can establish your groups. We're taking notes on these lists, Charles? Hope somebody is. Maybe Katie is back at home. It would be nice to be able to have People Finder groups, so you could do a blast. Charles just said hi, or I'm in the bar. We use HeyTal for Sendero when we're at conferences. So rather than having to call or text everybody individually, I just say I pick the group as my destination, and I say I'm headed down to get coffee. Anybody want to join me? Come on down. And then it goes to everybody.
Like something I'm finding confusing. If somebody sends a text, there's a reply button, and I can click that, and then I can write my text, and then there's a reply button.
It is, yeah.
And I don't know which, it was like...
It's bad nomenclature. The other one should be send.
Yes, so that should be send.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I wondered about that as well, and I thought, well, I don't see anything else to press. I guess I'll press the reply for the second time.
Must be right.
Yeah. Yeah, the tricky thing about testing this going forward is once we leave, Judy and Doug will have it and they can find each other, but if you only have one device, there's not much you can do to test it.
And not many people in Utah.
Yeah, so I guess the plan will be for people testing is try to get 2 devices, get it on even on an iPod or something, or somebody else in your household. We'll just have to get people paired up so that they have at least one other person to test with.
I will use it.
Okay, one last call for any questions on the chat room, and otherwise we're going to sign off the formal presentation for right now. Anything else out there?
Mike, before you close, could you in 3 minutes kind of summarize the first half hour that we missed? Is that possible? Just how it got started? I think you said that answered Marcia's question, just to bring our audience a little bit more up to date, but we're really impressed so far.
Sure, just in wrapping up and in summary, what we're doing here is we have a prototype People Finder application using Bluetooth to localize people in our vicinity 30 to 100 feet away and to be able to contact them or just know that they're around. And this was through a NIDR SBIR Phase 1 grant. The Phase 2 grant is up to $750,000 where one could really seriously commercialize this. And that's something that comes about within a couple of months of this period closing. So I'd say maybe by June or so we might be submitting the SBR Phase 2, and then it's several months that gets reviewed, and hopefully we get some good reviewers who don't go out there and say, well, blind people don't need this, and we can actually commercialize it. And the big part of that is they need to see that there is a market for it, so that's why we'll focus on teaming up with other companies to show that this is something that can commercially be successful through conferences, as well as just being a standalone iPhone app. That's really the summary of what we have so far. We will be testing this in the next few days, and maybe we'll give a brief update on Friday to see if there's any exciting thing that comes out of it. We might be making a few changes in the app, and when we have the session on Friday at 2, and I encourage anybody who wants to know more about the CNI GPS to come back online on air then, and we'll give you an update about that as well as talking about CNI GPS. So thanks to everybody for being on, and stay tuned on this location and on the various websites. We'll be posting some chatter about this app and other apps going forward.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock Pacific time. Go Sendero.